So we're going to be looking at filters, and the exercise in this lesson is going to be removing out empty rows of content. So we've got a few filters that we're going to be applying, and I'm going to be showing you all the different options that you have for filters. So right now we do have a filtered view. To remove the filter, we can just hit the X. That's going to go back to the previous view. And if we had some empty rows of content that we want to get out of our content, using filters is a great way to select that content and then do the removal of that content just by using the filters. So now we've got the content, we want to select all 4 of those columns, and I want to remove out the empty rows of content. So going over to data, we're going to create a new filter view, and that filters are automatically applied to the first row. So I can select any one of these because we just want to remove out all of the empty rows. So I'm selecting that, and I'm using filter by condition, and I'm selecting the ones that are empty. So if they are empty, it's going to return back all of the empty rows of content, which is 3, 6, 9. And now I can select those rows. I can delete the selected rows. I can remove the filter, and my contents now have removed the blank line that was within the content that I have within the spreadsheet. So I'm going to be showing you that and a whole lot more in this lesson. I've got a spreadsheet with some blank lines within the rows of the data. So what we want to do is we want to filter out that content, and we want to be able to create a brand new filter with the data content. So going over to the data tab, select the create a filter. You can also see the filter views, and from here you can create a new filter view as well. So we're going to be creating a brand new filter. So let's select the create the filter, and the filter automatically gets created on the range of cells that we had selected. So I had rows 11, 12, and 13 selected. And once we get the filter, once we set up the filter to create the new filter, we're going to see that we've got these drop-down menus here in the top cell and the top row of each one of the columns. And here we can select how we want to filter the content. So going back into the tools and going back into data, let's go ahead and we're going to remove the filter, and we're going to select the filter. We're going to create the filter on all of the existing data. When you do create a filter, anyone with access to your spreadsheet will be able to see the filter as well, and anyone with permission to edit will be able to edit and change the filter. So let's create a filter. Select all of the columns that we want to use, and then under the data, create a filter. And once we've selected all of the columns of data, we're automatically in the first row, we're going to get the filter options. And this is where we can apply the filter conditions to that range. So we click the filter. We have an option to sort ascending or descending, or sort by color, filter by color, so if we had different colors, filter by condition. So we can enter in a condition that we want to filter by. So let's do that where we're checking to see if the text contains my last name for the filter. If the pop-up window disappears, then you can always go back and select the filter in the first row. And this will give you the pop-up window once again, how you want to sort it. So if we do select the sort, that will sort the content, and it's not going to affect the header. It'll affect all of the contents underneath. So effectively that actually did remove the spaced rows. Let's undo that. And the same thing if we sort ascending or if we sort descending, they're both going to remove out all of the spaces. We don't have any colors added yet, so we can't do any filtering by colors. Let's try up filtering by the condition. So we'll check to see if it is empty and apply the filter. And the filter we're going to be applying is going to select all of the contents. So let's go ahead and we clear the filter and hit OK. So now we're only going to be seeing the cells that are empty, because that's the filter that's been applied. If we want to see the ones that are not empty, we can apply that filter, and now we're only going to see the ones that are not empty, that are matching that condition. Let's add some text color to the cells, and we'll update the filter for colors. So let's update the filter. And we're going to filter by color. So we have an option to filter by text color. So let's filter by only the text color of red. Filter by text color of green. Let's remove that filter by none. So that will show everything once again. And we still have the filter for the condition. So if we remove that, we're going to go back to seeing all of the available contents. We can also filter by the background color. So let's say we've got some content that's highlighted, and we want to filter by color and by the fill color of yellow. Then we can select the content that is only of yellow. You can apply multiple filters. So we've got a sort by, so we can do a sort by color as well, by the text color. So that will sort the contents by the text color. And that will sort it, all of the contents from A to Z that are within the filtered contents that are being returned back. Let's also apply multiple filters. So we'll apply filter by condition. So we want to make sure that the text contains and the value that is contained by the text. So we want to make sure that that is contained within the filter. Hit OK. So now the text has to contain Svekis. So it's not going to return back anything that doesn't contain that. Let's filter it by values. And here we can clear out all of the values. So it's going to remove out all of the filter values. We can select all of the available filters. And if we want to search ones that contain specific values, we can do that within the search. And we see now it's returning the matching ones that have the value of 2. So we can search for a particular value and select only those values to filter the content by. So we can clear all and then type into the search the one that we want to select. Click on the ones we want to select within the filtered content and hit OK, and that's going to return back only the ones that are going to be matching within the filter. If we do want to remove the filter, we can always go to Data and hit the Remove the Filter, and it'll bring our view back to what it previously was, back to the normal view. We can also create, save, delete, and even share a filter view. So I'm just reverting it back with the spacing, and we're going over to the data, and I'm going to remove the filter that we were just working with. And then going back to data, we're going to create a new filter view. And this new filter view, you can give it a name. So this can be test2 filter. We can select the range for the cells that are going to be contained within this filter. So if I want to select everything, I can select from A1, so from the first cell that we want to work with, and it's actually going to be A2 because the first row is going to be where we've got the headers, and then going all the way back down to D15. So that's the view that we want to apply. We can select the options, which is the cog on the right-hand side, which allow us to rename. And that's what the tab as well here that we did within the input field. We can update the range, and we've already done that by clicking on it. We can duplicate the filter, and we can delete the filter. So there's also more options with the filter. So once within the filter view, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so we can see the view. And there's a option here to either show the menus or hide the menus. You can use the shortcut for that as well. So this is just more space that as I'm doing the recording, so it's a little bit easier to see the content that we're returning back. So we've got the filter views. The filters are on each one of the first items within the column. For the data, we've got the range surrounded with a green border. And now we can select the filter. and we can apply the different filters. So we had the one for the text color. So this will return back only the ones that match the right text color. And there is actually an error here because we did want to apply the filter to the contents, and we want to have the first row as the header. So by default within the filter, the first row is the header. So let's update the range, and this way we're able to apply the filters to the contents and not to the headers that we have within the first row of the content. So now we're filtering by color, by text color. Let's go back to none for the filter, and under the filter conditions we can check to see if this column, the contents, contains, and let's check for it to contain the word test, and then apply the filter for that so we make sure that there is some content there. If we want to remove out filtered content, so let's select all of the rows that are empty. So if it is empty, we want to return back all of the rows that are empty. And so if we want to remove out the rows that are empty, now we're only showing the rows that were empty. So it doesn't matter if we have 15 records or if we have 5,000 records, it's going to return back all of the empty ones. So we can select these, and I can delete the selected rows. And now I can go back to the filter views and go back to none, and the result is going to be that we've removed out all of the empty rows using the filter. So that's one of the ways that you can use and make use of the filter in a powerful way, that you can select the content that you want, and then if there's content that you don't want, you can select the delete to remove it. And that's one way that you can remove the empty rows. And if you ever want to go back to view the filter view, you can see the filter view here, and we see that we don't have any empty rows because we did do the delete on those empty rows. Another way to close the filter view is just to click the X, and that will also close the filter view. The filter view is saved automatically. So we can also, if we want to delete the filter, we can go to the filter views. We can select the filter, and then under the cog wheel, we can delete the filter. And now if we go into data and back to the filter views, that filter is going to be gone. If we want to create a new one, we have an option to do so. If we want to duplicate the filter view, and if we want to make some adjustments to the filter view, so in this case, I'm going to duplicate that existing filter view. We can rename it, we can reselect a brand new range, and then whenever we want to flip back to that view, it's going to automatically be saved within our filter views that we have. If we want to share a filter view, we can go under the data, select the filter view that we want to share, and that's going to be available within the URL. So once we copy this URL, and if we share it to somebody else that has the same access to the Google Sheet, they're also going to be able to see the filter. And this is at the end here is going to be where it's indicating the filter view. So if you get rid of that last part, the last part of the URL is where it indicates the filter view. So when we refresh it and we don't have that within the web URL, we're not going to see the filtered view. But if we do have the filtered view, and that's going to be part of the web URL, so now if we went over and if we shared that view, it's automatically going to go into the filtered view because of this last part of the web URL. So that's how you can share your filter views. So what filters do is they help you analyze a set of data within a spreadsheet. And with filters, you can share a specific view with others. You can also sort data within that filter. For filters, we saw that we can apply multiple filters. We also had options where we could name the filters, update the name, update the filters, and make copies of that filter with the same rules in order to be able to better share that set of data. And you can see the filters that have been applied whenever you go into the first top row. You can select that and that's where you're going to see what filters are applied. So these particular columns don't have any filters applied yet, and you can apply different filters on the different columns as needed. So I'm going to go back to none and hit OK. I'm going to filter it by the text color of black, and here we won't have an option. So if I had an option of red text, I can apply another filter here to filter it by text color of red. So we can apply multiple filters to the different columns of data as needed. So go ahead and try it out to become more familiar with what you can do with filters.